Hello, my name is Peter Greenlaw, and I founded the New Health Conversation movement, which I think is something we really need. It's a registered trademark with the U.S. Patent Office. At the New Health Conversation, we're devoted to only one thing, and that's to bring you real scientific evidence, not hearsay, celebrity endorsements, or any of that. I have great respect. I've written 4 best-selling books, all with medical doctors. I have great respect for medicine, dietitians, and nutritionists. But it's becoming apparent, they've said to me, look, we only can know what we know. We don't know this. So what we do is we always refer to medical journals. This is one called Nutrients, and the topic of it, the effect of an 8-week prescribed exercise and low-calorie diet on cardiorespiratory fitness. It's kind of a title, but basically the most important thing in the study is this, and this you need to be aware of pretty much with every diet out there that's some form of lowering calories, and I'll get into that in just a moment, but I want to read directly from the study. Exposure to low-calorie diets is associated with reductions in muscle mass and increased osteoporosis risk in obese individuals. Do you understand that? What they're saying is that low-calorie diets are contributing factors now to increased risks of osteoporosis. They go on to say short-term low-calorie diet combined with prescribed exercise enhanced cardiorespiratory fitness. That sounds good. And the cardiometabolic profile of those obese individuals, but was also associated with the greater muscle mass loss compared to similar exercise training and standard dietary advice. They go on to say, despite the cardiometabolic benefits and the greater reduction in body fat, exposure to low-calorie carbohydrate diets has been associated with various adverse outcomes, including decreased muscle mass and reduced bone mass. Reduced muscle mass is an established risk factor for osteoporosis, has been associated with functional impairment in obese individuals. Interestingly, the combination of exercise with a low carbohydrate diet appears to attenuate muscle mass loss induced by ketosis, meaning increase it. So here's the bottom line. That all of these studies now, when you dig down, every one of them says that the majority of weight loss, whether it's Paleo, Mediterranean, intermittent fasting, zone, keto, Cornish, Jenny Craig Weight Watchers, the majority of the weight is lean muscle mass. Now, why is that occurring? It's occurring because we're all focused on calories, but there's one entity that's not focused on calories, and that's our body. Our body doesn't know what a calorie is, doesn't count calories, doesn't care about calories. It only cares about nutrition. So here's what happens. Our food today is becoming more and more nutritionally bankrupt. So estimates are that if we went back 30 years and took 1 orange and 1 apple to equal the nutrition today, you'd have to eat between 6 and 8 oranges and about a dozen apples. And Cornell University did a study on spinach from 1953 to 2000 and said that the nutritional value in spinach has decreased by about 4,300%. So think about this. We now have food that already has less nutrition. Now we're lowering the calorie, and what they don't tell you, we're lowering the nutrition, so it's a double-edged sword. So how does the body react to less nutrition? It freaks out. It goes into starvation mode. And in starvation mode, all the studies prove one thing, that what the body will do, it'll go and seek the nutrition. And where's the densest part of nutrition in our body? In our organs, in our brain, our heart, our kidney, our lungs, etc., and our muscles. And so the low-hanging fruit is the muscles. What does it do? It begins to convert our muscles, breaks them down into carbohydrates for energy. As bad as that is, the other consequence of less fuel is that the body slows down our metabolism. That's why you plateau on all these diets. I don't care what the name is. Go to Barnes & Noble, they got row after row after row of diets. I can't even keep up with all the names, but they're all at the end of the day some form of lowering calories. The other problem with it is when you come off that diet, despite now maybe even you've changed your eating habits and you lost 20, 30 pounds, whatever it is, lo and behold, you gain all the weight back because your metabolism has literally been slowed down by lack of nutrition. So now we're finding that really a lot of studies are saying that going on conventional diets, not so good for you, based on not just this study, but there's many other studies like that. So here's the good news. It's not all bad. The good news is there's 2 new peer-reviewed human trials. That's as high as you can go in medicine. And what did they find in these trials? There were 80% women, 20% men, not a diet. People lost weight in a week that would take a couple months or 3 or 4 months on a diet. at the same time losing weight so much more quickly than on diets, people gain between 6 and 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise. They didn't want exercise to be an outlier, so that's why I didn't want them to exercise. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. The CDC has said that 9 out of 10 Americans are metabolic unhealthy. They're either overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. All 5 of those came down dramatically in just 30 days. Inflammation came down by 25% in 30 days, and in 8 weeks, people reduced their visceral fat by 33%, a third. So you got 2 kinds of fat on your body. You have what's called subcutaneous or adipose fat that's underneath your skin, and then the really hard fat underneath, that's called visceral fat. And visceral fat, unfortunately, is also being used by the chemicals that we're ingesting, the toxins. As they enter the body's taking the chemicals and stuff them in the visceral fat. So the loss of 33% of that visceral fat was a direct correlation to what they saw in the studies, and that this protocol was removing toxins from the body. Just to give you a brief overview, this is not a diet. It's a combination of regular food that you would get a list of that you go to the grocery store, and 5 elements that literally come from all over the world, from places like Russia and Mongolia and Manchuria and Bangladesh and, believe it or not, Tibet in the Himalayas, literally from the Himalayas, South America and in New Zealand. Now, why? Because the elements or the quantities of the necessary elements that we have for maximizing our quality of life potential just don't exist in the United States anymore. So fortunately, the fulfillment companies went and sought out these ingredients literally from all over the world. So it's a combination of what you buy at the store plus this. Now, let's call those the ingredients, or I call them the elements, really. But the other part that's critical is the prescription or the recipe. Like, how do you consume these? What are the quantities? When do you take them? Et cetera. That's all laid out in this protocol. In other words, you're able to find out exactly what did they do in these clinical trials. And you decide. We're not there to try and sell you or convince you of anything. I know people, they fill out the form and then they give us the wrong phone number. That's okay. I understand people are skeptical. But can you really take a chance based on the fact that you've got 80% of America overweight, and you have 50% of those people that are obese? You realize right now we have, according to new statistics in the CDC, we have more people obese than are just overweight. And there's a new term now for those people that are thin that think you get a pass. It's called normal weight obesity, or visceral obesity, which simply means when you look at the amount of visceral fat you have in your body and compare to how much lean muscle, you literally would be considered obese. I know it sounds crazy, but that's really it. So those ratios of the visceral fat to your muscle are really, really important. So if you want to know, and go to our website for free, it doesn't cost you anything, r2mprotocol.com. And look, don't worry, if you go there, we can't contact you. The only way we can contact you is if you fill out the little form at the bottom. It'll come basically to me. I'll call you back, or one of my associates, and we'll answer all your questions. We're not coming on there to sell you or convince you. You need to convince yourself. Unless you think that something out there, maybe it exists, but the medical studies are proving that all these diets, the only thing you're losing is lean muscle mass and water. And now we're finding out that, my gosh, it increases your risk of osteoporosis if you're obese. So I hope this has been helpful, and I wish you nothing but a wonderful day.